This is the Commonwealth, where we feature leaders of disruptive change. Today's guest is Jen Landis, founder of Pincurl Girls. Pincurl Girls is an online community intended to instill confidence in young girls. So Jen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks.
Pincurl Girls also has a podcast, which we were nerding out before we hit record, which I will get to later. But to start with, I'm interested in how you landed on the problem of lack of confidence in young females to solve and kind of tackle. So how did you decide on that issue to go after?
It was a very, very easy problem to solve because I deal with it every day. I feel like still at this age, middle age, that I have a 10-year-old girl inside of me going, but wait, what if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not worthy for this? What if I mess up? And so it's constant talking to her and saying, you know what, you are good enough and you are worth it. And you're probably not the only one that thinks this way. So instead of learning at my age how to talk to that girl, let's talk to that girl when she is 10 years old, when she is 14 years old, and give those messages to her that she's worth it and that she can believe in herself and that she can do everything she wants to do.
Wow, that is an inspiring message. You mentioned 10-year-olds. Is that the average age of someone in your community?
My average age is probably from 8 to about 14. Those are the girls that are purchasing my products.
Okay.
I have inspirational calendars and such. But I also speak to, and I know I have a secondary audience of women that are my age that are also talking to their inner child and kind of going back and telling her that she's okay as well.
Okay. So with those two different age groups and social media, I guess, kind of being the crux in between, and there's been a bunch of reporting on the harm social media can do to your mental health. How much do you think social media has amplified that problem since you were 10 years old?
Oh my gosh. Well, it has amplified it quite a bit because more girls are exposed to criticism. They compare themselves to other girls that they see on social media living the perfect life. Mm-hmm. And so I heard that a study says that a 13-year-old checks her phone, I'm going to botch this, but like 300 times a day, if not more. That seems little, but like she's constantly checking.
Yeah, I was doing research on this beforehand, and I saw that the average time spent from someone in this age group on their phone is like 6 hours, which seems like a lot of time to spend on your phone.
Yeah, right. But on the other hand, there's outlets like mine and plenty of others that are actually talking to these same girls and getting them into workshops and getting them in, selling them their books to help mitigate the negativity that they see online. So where there is some cons, there's also some pros.
Yeah. Talking about the social media component specifically, do you think there's a way to fix social media so it's not as damaging or not as addictive or what have you? Or is it just people need to fix the reaction they have to what they see?
That's a really tough question.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a solution to fix social media. I think as everything, it's going to go through its peak and valleys. So perhaps in the future, young women might be tired of it and just decide not to do it. But I do think that what's nice about it is they do get to choose who they interact with and who they follow. And hopefully they have enough information that they unfollow the people that they feel bad, watching, or they're starting to compare themselves. Unfollow those people and then do follow the people that are actually giving some good advice and making them feel better about themselves.
Okay, interesting perspective. And you mentioned earlier the Pincurl Girls calendar, and there's a bunch of products within your brand. What are all of them? Like, what does Pincurl Girls all encompass?
Well, it started 14 years ago when I was in grad school and talking about that inner child. I had come from working in an advertising agency for over 10, 15 years. Okay. And I went back to grad school and got into the classroom with all these different artists that seemed so much smarter than I was. And they seemed, they talked in that academic language. And my assignment was just to create. And being from advertising, I thought, well, what's my deadline? Who's my client? What are we trying to sell? And basically, I could do anything I wanted. And that was a very tough assignment for me. So what I ended up doing is I went to our cabin, I laid out 12 sheets of paper, and I just started drawing. And what came out was my inner child. And I'd write phrases next to her like, I wish my scab would fall off. I wish I was cute enough. I wish I was worthy. And I would draw her, and she was just about an inch on like a 12-inch sheet of paper, topless, covering her stomach rolls, super insecure. And she used to wear pin curls in her hair, which my mother always put in my hair as a girl. So throughout those 3 years of graduate school, I struggled a lot with believing in myself. And the minute that I graduated with a 4.0, which is really good for me because I didn't do such good in college, but with my master's I did. And the girls started evolving. They started whispering positive message in me. So I've been using these illustrations for about 14 years, and they've evolved a lot over the years. But the calendars include an illustration of a girl and a positive message that hung up on your wall in your kitchen. The whole family can look at it, or in a bedroom. It's something that a girl sees every single day that gives her a positive motivation that she's worth it. So I have those calendars. This year they're printing right now. I have 3 different versions. My newest one is a Hispanic calendar. So that's written in Spanish with English translations. And then I have an African American calendar. And then I have a calendar that has a wide variety of different ethnicities and skin tones and stuff.
Okay.
So I have those, and they're absolutely fabulous, but a lot of people are in the digital age, right?
Yeah.
So a calendar on the wall works for only some people. So I've translated those positive messages into a daily text. So I have a list of girls that I send out a daily positive text to, and it includes their name, and it says, like, do you know how absolutely amazing you are? Go out and have a great day. Things like that.
Okay.
And they're signed off by the Pincurl Girls, which is super fun. And I've been doing that for about 2 years as well.
Okay, amazing. And then I also saw the text messages are repurposed into a book, correct?
Yeah. So that's what I was working on this afternoon before I came here.
Okay.
So the text messages are on the left side of the book. And on the right, I wrote 2 or 3 paragraphs that kind of explain a little bit more about what it means and actions to take in order to feel better about yourself. And it's divided into chapters on your mood. So if you're feeling excited, angry, anxious, or upset, then you can just flip to that chapter in the book and just read a couple pages and then put it down.
Okay. What's your approach to adapting the art to the different mediums? How did you decide to land on texting and then writing the book next?
Yeah, right. So probably about 2.5 years ago, I was having a very stressful day. Okay. And I don't know about you, but when I have a very stressful day, I need to call someone to like talk me like down or up. Yeah. So I'd always call my mom because she's always great and she always inspires me.
Yes, as moms are. Mine's the same way.
Right. Yeah. But she didn't ask me, but she wasn't home. And, moms should always be home for their daughters. Yeah. So I decided to send myself a message that I thought my mom would send to me. And I looked up online, like sending yourself a text, and found a third-party text messaging, put in my number, and wrote myself a text that says, Jen, you can do this, go kick ass, love Jen. And I got it about 2 seconds later, and it really surprised me in a fun way, and it just felt authentic. And so I thought, now this is something I would love to do this for more people because it felt really good to get.
Okay. And then was the book just a natural transition?
The book came later.
Okay.
Yeah,
later.
Yeah.
Once you have the text, I could see it being easy to repurpose that same content into a book.
Yeah.
How have you made sure that the message resonates with a broad audience? That you mentioned the Hispanic Calendar and portraying different skin tones into your art. Have you always had that as an importance when you build your community? And then how do you ensure that that's always, I guess, there?
Yeah, right. Well, it happened organically, where normally the girls were light-skinned, more Caucasian looking girls. And I had a mother saying, I would like one for my daughter, African American lady. And so I decided to do one for her. And after that, it just really caught on. So to give you a comparison, for my African American calendars, last year I sold 20,000 of them in December. And then for the I don't call it white calendar, but it's not specifically African American, it has all different skin tones in it. I sold about 300.
Wow.
So and I hear a lot of positive feedback, and they know I'm a white woman, but they love the way that the girls look, and they love that their daughters can look at an illustration and see themselves in it, and it has such a positive message in it.
Yeah.
So just off that learning, I was thinking, okay, in a long tail approach, who else could I, make a calendar that they would also feel good? And so I was working with a friend of mine who owns a Hispanic consulting agency in Kansas City. And so he helped me translate and did focus groups on some Hispanic families the girls are first generation American, and the moms really loved it and the daughters loved it. So it's going to be a test. We'll see how it goes, but I went with it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. The 20,000 number, that seems like a tremendous amount of success. I'm sure you're proud about that.
I'm super excited about it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. How have you seen that your community just grow and evolve over the past 14 years that you've been making?
That's a really great question, and I don't really have a really good answer. I don't know my community as well because the majority of my calendar sales are done on Amazon.
Okay.
And so I really don't know who they are. I know where they live, and hopefully next year when they come back, because I have it on the calendar, go to pincurlgirls.com to buy your 2021 calendar, that they'll be coming back to me and getting on my email list and stuff like that. I have my Facebook page and stuff, but for the majority of those customers that I got last year, I don't really know who they are.
Okay, interesting. And it's frustrating that Amazon has that level of, I guess, privacy between the buyer and the customer.
They're not my customer, they're Amazon's customer.
Exactly.
But thank you, Amazon, because I do reach a lot of people that I wouldn't normally reach just having it on my own website. Yeah,
yes. And outside of the Amazon channel, what other tactics have been effective to grow the audience?
I do a lot of paid Facebook social media and Instagram social media, a bunch of a series of ads that starts general, and then if they click through, gets more specific. So that series of ads has really worked for me. I just recently started doing some advertising on Pinterest, and I'm getting 50% more people from Pinterest click over than they do from Facebook.
Wow, okay.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, but which kind of makes sense. You'd think that the person buying it is on Pinterest, either the girl or the mom.
Yeah. But I definitely do not have it all figured out yet.
Yes. You mentioned the majority of your sales, I guess, peaking in Christmas. Are the products mainly bought as a gift for someone?
Yeah, like I said, I don't really know if they're buying them for themselves or for gifts. Okay. I do believe that they're buying them for their daughters or granddaughters or nieces or nephews and stuff like that. That makes sense. The texts mostly are bought or purchased by parents to give to their daughters or aunts to give to their nieces. We do have some guys on there that enjoy it as well. Yeah. But it's definitely for the younger female demographic.
Yes, of course. And like I said, before we started recording, we were talking about the Pincurl Girls podcast, and that interviews girls from your community, correct?
Yeah, I started out in the community, but I've branched out. Wednesday I'll have a podcast air from a girl from New York. Wow. She is 17. She started a STEM company called First Empower. Okay. And so she's all about teaching young girls from 8 to 10 about STEM. And she's just a hoot. I mean, oh my gosh, talking about the editing that she talked straight for 45 minutes, but she's just on fire, and I just absolutely love her. And then I talked to a girl who lives in Utah who is a slam poet, And we just did a podcast, an Instagram live last week.
Okay.
Where she performed she spit. I asked her, how do you say, like, did you perform your poetry? She goes, you spit it. So she spit her poem. I think I'm kind of botching that a little bit, but yeah, which is all about fitting in. And so just the connections that I feel that these girls are coming to me and sharing their stories that I get to share with other girls are amazing. Like, I just read a review on my podcast about, I'm a 10-year-old girl and I absolutely love these podcasts. They're so inspiring. Yeah. And my daughter, who's 11, just sent me a text from her friend that said, I listened to your mom's podcast. I loved it. You know, those are the things that just like, ooh,
yes,
cool.
Yeah. And it seems, I guess, it's refreshing to see a podcast geared towards a younger demographic, because the majority of podcasts don't have that as a target market. They're more for adults. So it's cool to see that content, I guess, just reshaped for a younger audience. What has been your biggest, I guess, learning from interviewing all of your guests for the show?
My guests have such great advice. So I have two questions that I always ask. One is, what advice would you give to a girl listening right now that has gone through something that you have gone through? So like, I interviewed one girl who lost her mom when she was 6. So she gave advice about talking to another girl who may have lost a loved one as well. I mean, it just gives me goosebumps. Yeah. So their advice that they give to other girls their age is absolutely incredible. And then I also asked them, so the name of the podcast is called Girl Brave. And I asked them, what is your definition of being brave? And then I ask, and do you think you are brave? Which kind of puts them on the spot a little bit. And their definitions of being brave are just so heartwarming and so truthful. And I listen to those podcasts and I'm like, if this girl can do it and she's 14, I can do it. Yeah. You know, it really is inspiring for all different ages. And then to hear them say, yeah, I think I am brave, is probably something they never really said out loud. And now they have, which is also incredible.
Are there is there an underlining theme of their definitions of brave, or are they all different?
They're all totally different. Okay. I mean, the whole podcast is about being brave, but yeah, all their definitions are so different.
Okay, interesting. And then last question for you, Jen. What is your long-term vision with Pincurl Girls? Is this something you hope someone carries on after you're done working on it, or is it like, I guess, your long-term artist project, if you will?
Yeah, that fluctuates. So some days, I look at the Huddle building when I just parked here. Okay, and it's a gorgeous, kind of skyscraper in Lincoln, Nebraska. Well, I imagine the Pincurl Girl logo being on that after they move out. So it's definitely a big global company that I say is a cross between Hello Kitty and American Girl doll. Okay. And then you get to really hectic days where you're like, well, wouldn't it be great to just work for myself forever and not have to deal with everyone else and employees and stuff like that. So no, I lean more towards the growing it as big as I can to at least, I want to grow it at least to be able to get into larger and larger markets where the messages are being delivered to the girls that need them.
Okay, amazing, Jen. Well, I wish you the best. Thanks again for joining me. It was fascinating to learn about everything that's going on, and it's also inspiring to hear you so inspired working with the demographic. So,
thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
That is it for today's episode. Thanks for being a member of the Commonwealth. If you enjoyed this conversation, please tap the share button and send it out to your friends and family. We would also love if you leave a review in the Apple Podcast app. If you're interested in helping us grow this community, please go invite your friends to like us on our Facebook page. Search the Commonwealth on Facebook and tap the profile with the same logo as ours. When you go to the community section of our page, there is an option to invite friends. Please also tap subscribe to stay updated when new episodes drop.